Hold on, baby. I can't. Here. Come on. The light's on.
All right. Hey, everybody. Good Tuesday evening. Jason with Rotoboss Roto Attachments, Apple Air USA. And here with Laser Chick, Nikki. Thanks for joining us. We have a couple other people that should be coming in here at some point. I figured we'd hop on here, do a little live. She's got some stuff going on, so kind of see what she's got going on. Got a little look at her shop there. that massive shop you got. So how you been doing?
Good. How are you?
Not too bad. Just trying to wait out this storm and see what happens. So
Yes.
looking forward to it. We'll see how it goes.
I'm really hoping that it maybe calms down some before it gets there.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
What the chances are of that, but
Yeah, I mean it's a lot to do with the wind direction and stuff, and we got typically where we're at anyways in Jacksonville. We have the jet stream that runs basically right over top of us. So it usually pushes a lot of the storms away from us, and this one I guess is supposed to kind of catch it and kind of knock it down a little bit before it hits Tampa area. But if it don't, that's gonna be really bad.
oh man, yeah.
So this is the first time in I think since the mid '80s, I think they said, since Tampa's got a direct hit like this. So been a little while, but we'll get through it. We got plenty of beverages to tide us over and generator and all that good stuff, so we'll be good, I think.
Yeah, hopefully. Like we were without power, like in Georgia we've never really been hit that hard as even the last one when Helene came through here. Like that's probably since I was born and raised here, and that's probably the hardest storm that I've seen hit here in a long time.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I know
we're near hurricane prepared up here. Like
I never would have in my wildest dreams thought that a hurricane would hit that high or go that high north or that far north.
No, me either. I mean, normally, Savannah area, it catches the lower end down there, but
yeah.
The only thing we've really ever gotten was maybe some rainfall, but it came through here and it turned as it got to us, so we still only caught the outskirts of it.
Yeah.
But it was rough. I mean, I was like watching, and we got all these pine trees, and I'm like watching my front yard, and I'm like, holy crap, the entire yard is going to come unrooted. But luckily, like I said, had it not been for those few limbs that fell and kind of the wind carried them on top of my house, I wouldn't have had any damage. But I guess it's bound to happen eventually.
Yeah, just weird course of events. Definitely not normal. especially to have two come in back to back.
Somebody's generating these huge storms.
Well, I mean they've been doing it for a while now, so it's not something that's out of the realm of possibility.
Oh, I agree. I mean, something's changing the way things are happening because, I mean, how often do we really have Category 5 hurricanes? I mean, Katrina was a 3 or 4?
No, it was a 5.
It was a 5?
Yeah. But it was less powerful than this one was yesterday. Like yesterday, I think it broke 2 records.
Oh wow!
For like the barometric pressure and wind speeds and stuff. So yeah. I mean, it was pretty bad. I mean, Katrina was bad, but I think Katrina was bad more because it was such a massive storm. Like it was about the size of the Gulf of Mexico. I mean, it was a huge storm. This one's smaller, but I think with the tight eye wall like it's got, I mean, it's probably going to stick around. I don't think it's going to dissipate like they say, but hopefully it does. So, but at any rate, so what do you got going on there? You doing some engraving or something?
I'm running tumblers with my Rotoboss. Hold on, let's see if I can put you down there enough to see what's going on.
There you go.
So I'm just running the 12-ounce shorties. These are from Tipsy Magnolia or thetipsymagnolia.com.
Is that a brand or is that?
It is. They all of their cups are designed in the USA, and then I guess they get them made in China. But it's they're all designed in the USA, and they reached out a while back and asked me to test some of their cups. They have mainly been in the epoxy side of the business, and have just recently kind of started doing the powder coating. And and they've got some more things coming out. I think they're going to be here soon. I think they already have like a chroma base, but it's not under powder coating. So I think they're going to try to do some of those and kind of get more into the laser game. But they're really nice people. And I'm very picky about cups because when I do cups, I usually do large quantities. So I don't like to have those one-offs that don't engrave well.
Yeah. I had a customer bring me some a while back, and I knew just by looking at it that I knew it would engrave well, but I wasn't sure how it was going to clean up because it was that really thin, almost translucent stuff on the outside of it, so it was kind of it was questionable, but I did it anyways, and then ended up finding out when I went to clean it, it just wiped the coating off the cup.
Oh my goodness.
So, yeah, I typically don't take customer stuff. I know we were talking earlier, and you said that you usually have your customers bring the stuff, but for me, I prefer to do my own stuff, and that way if I mess up, I can just grab another one off the shelf, and two, I know exactly what I'm dealing with, so I don't have any issues going into it, so.
Yeah. And I usually, like, when I tell my customers, I'll usually tell them where to go get them. I'm pretty picky about that. Like, there's some certain cups off of Amazon that I'll do if they want to buy them that route, but for the most part, I try to go to one of the distributors. Hey, Nick, welcome.
How's it going?
What's going on, Nick?
Sorry I'm late, y'all. Toddlers and whatnot. I know Nikki gets it.
Oh, yeah, I was running one out of here a while ago.
Oh,
so
man.
Living up to your name there with nerding out on that damn cabinet you got.
Right?
Bro, isn't that thing sick?
That is awesome.
So
I'm all about overboard, but that thing is overboard.
I mean, I just want one because it's shiny and bright.
Yeah. The point of it, right, is I've been going to shows, right, doing engraving full wraps on tumblers for people right there at an expo. I was just at the Arizona Women's Expo on Saturday and Sunday, and we did over 50 wraps, like just for people passing by, on the spot customization, throwing names on cups. Did a lot of vendors, single-sided stuff, and with just this one machine. So
yeah.
The thing that I was running into, though, or what I was nervous about, and Jason, you've actually brought this up before, the 60-watt CO2 is a big, heavy monster, right? And it's a little sensitive. She's a classy girl, and you have to treat her right. But I never liked the single tower design because it's not super stable. So I did dual motorized Z-axis, used 40/40 extrusion to hold it all together, and instead of having the split, I put all of the power and everything in the bottom, and it functioned great. It's just heavy as sin.
Is that the one you were building, or you were starting to build when I was there? Where you were kind of getting stuff together and talking about how you're going to put the electronics in the base of it and all that stuff?
So this is, and it's still not done because there's a lot that I want to do with it in the long term. But I can pull you all over and we can take a look here. Come with me, shall we?
We don't have a choice, do we?
No, not really. So, man, putting this on a tripod is difficult. So, there we go. So as we can see here, it's all done top to bottom. I used, various cable tracks and management to make sure all of the cables were clean and clear and under control, because God forbid something goes wrong and you got cables in the way and stuff. I love the color scheme that I did too. The black and the blue came out sick.
So how did you sync the Z motors?
How did I sync them?
Yeah. Or is one powered, one's a slave?
Right. So all
Oh.
I did was I literally just spliced them together into the same driver. And what I did to make sure that they were both aligned was I just drove them directly down to the bottom. And since they're the same tower, the towers are identical and the lead screws are identical, I didn't have any problems with the movement. It moves up and down without issue. Let's see. There, we're going up. And we're going down.
Did you upgrade the steppers, or are they still the stock steppers?
They're still the stock steppers for now. They're overkill for this now, because I'm now doing the same amount of work with with twice the power. I don't think
that's a pretty good idea for traveling too, given that stability.
That was my main concern, right? So I didn't want it to, while I'm driving and going over all these bumps in these like crappy trailers and U-Hauls and all this crap, to risk it coming out of alignment, or the tower getting damaged and then this laser falling over, and gosh, it would cause nothing but problems. Last thing you want to do is pay $2,000 to attend a show, only to find out that you get there and you can't do it.
Yeah.
So,
I want to put one of those in my trailer, but like I was talking to Pascal when he was here, is I was worried about the head bouncing and potentially bending something or breaking something in transit.
Yeah. Well, if you let me build it out for you, you won't have that issue. Like I said, this is my first design of it. In the future, what I want to do is I want to take the whole tube and put it in the bottom, and then bounce it directly up into the head using, you could just use regular gantry mirrors to do that. So
that'd be interesting.
And then it would definitely be a challenge.
There's a lot of logistics involved in that.
Yeah, it wouldn't be easy, but I mean,
are you running a downdraft?
A what?
A downdraft, or are you just running straight through the hose?
What do you mean by a downdraft? I'm just curious.
Well, the table basically acts as the grate, so to speak, and then the vacuum comes from underneath, so it pulls all the smoke directly down into the bed.
Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about. No, so I'm just running a straight hose for now.
No.
It goes right down into the bottom and feeds out the back. I used my 3D printer to make some quick connections, so it's just magnetic right onto the back, and I can easily swap them around.
Nice.
And then for cooling, because that's a lot of power running through these machines. I'm running three 140 millimeter fans to cool it. And right now, I actually unbolted them so that way we can take a look inside.
Is that the Hyosin laser source?
It's the Dabby.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure if it was because you just got a new Hyosin, right?
No.
What did you unbox the other day, or a week ago, or whatever it was?
I don't think I unboxed anything. Did I unbox something?
I saw an unboxing. Maybe it was an old one.
Maybe. I did, Jason. I think I told you about the other companies that I've dealt with and how they are just wonderful customer service wise. But after going back and forth, I finally got my other two back.
Oh, nice.
So I have a total of 4 of these. Do I need 4? Probably not. But who knows? Maybe I'll.
Just one, okay?
Well, Nikki, come on out and we'll teach you how to use it. 'Cause they are sensitive. Oh, I just banged my camera against the ceiling. Good job. They are.
Yeah. Now that I got my CO2 gantry up and running, or Galvo up and running, Pascal and Non helped me set that up.
Yeah.
Now that I got that up and running, that thing's a beast.
Yeah, it cruises, and I guarantee we can make it go faster.
Yeah. Yeah, I might have to pick your brain about doing something like that for a trailer build. So, like I said, I want to put one in there, but like I said, I'm just really skeptical about how it'll travel. Because mine, I mean, as you know, the 60 watt, that thing's a massive head, and it's a lot of weight to be hanging off that thing and then bouncing and all that stuff.
Source, yeah. No, I agree, and that was my concern as well. And so the thing is, and I'm gonna actually post a video on how to do what I've done to this machine, so that way other people should they
and
should
the
they
minute amount of people that understand what you just did can use it. But for those of us who don't,
and here's the thing, like it wasn't hard. It was just time consuming, right? I had to cut a bunch of 40/40 aluminum extrusion and line things up and thread some stuff, but overall, like it's not a difficult thing.
Yeah.
And right now I'm reworking my shop because gotta make a bunch of YouTube videos this week and gotta figure out what I'm gonna do with 4 CO2 Galvos.
You gotta figure out what to do with that POS you got sitting in the corner. Didn't that fail on you finally?
Oh yeah, my tube on my gantry finally went out, which was fun. Right when I needed it to cut the back panel, so that way I could feed all my wires and everything through and line up all my I/O. It just I was like, hey, you're weird. What are you doing? And it just stopped firing completely, all jacked up. It was great.
Hey, just real quick, thanks everybody that's in here for joining us. If you have any questions or anything, please feel free to ask. We're just kind of BSing right now, but if you guys have any questions, let us know in the comments, and we'll get to them as we see them. But thanks for those that are in here. It looks like we've got about 9 people, at least that I can see. So anyways,
how's that hurricane?
Pretty good. I mean, it's actually, it was originally supposed to hit land tomorrow morning. Now it's not supposed to hit land till tomorrow night. So basically, it's going to be 2 more days of the shop being closed for no reason. which we're not conducting brain surgery, so it's not that big of a deal. But it just sucks because you don't know. And like the last one that came, we were all 2 days, and neither of those days, at least during the work day, was bad enough to even really constitute shutting down, but we did it anyways. But
Yeah.
yeah, just playing it by ear. Got generator, got fuel, got beverages, and it looks like it's starting to pour outside now. But yeah, it'll be good. Hopefully it'll die down. I mean, Nick, you were talking about it a little bit ago, but hopefully it'll die down at least enough to not cause too much damage. But even if it gets to a category 2 to 3, I mean, that's still 100+ mile an hour wind, so it's going to do some damage no matter what. But hopefully those that can get out, and I got room up here if anybody needs to stay or park their camper or whatever they just to get away from it. So, and I noticed a lot more people posting the same thing, offering up their property or whatever for people, which is really cool. So
Yeah, that is awesome.
Yeah, I offered that if anybody needs product made and I have the material, I'll get it done for them. But I don't have room to store anybody up here, so I got 6 kids. So.
You got a basketball team there.
Yes.
I mean, you're running a full-on hurricane shelter already stocked.
Right?
You got enough people in there to qualify for some kind of tax credit, I swear.
I mean, you would think, but I don't really get no tax breaks because my real job, I make too much money. I still pay tons of taxes.
Yeah.
No man.
Yeah,
I'm broke all the time.
It was a big shock to me the first time I had my first big tax bill come due. It was close to, I think it was close to $40,000, which that sucked.
That is in fact quite the bill.
I think I would have probably had a heart attack. I'd have had to kill him.
And that was also with all the write-offs and everything too. So I mean, if I didn't have all the write-offs, I could imagine it'd be a lot more than that.
Oh yeah.
But I've gotten smarter with my write-offs, so it shouldn't.
I was gonna say you need a better tax guy.
Well, I got a new one now, but we'll see. My taxes for 2023 aren't even done yet, so we'll see how it goes this year.
Right.
But
mine's gonna be a total mess, but it is what it is.
I mean, like I tell anybody that asks, if you get to a certain point, you need to get an actual professional to take care of your stuff, keep you out of trouble. I
didn't even make that much last year, but I'll tell you what, I still hired a professional. I ain't playing that game. I do. Yep. There's two things that I fear in this world: God and the IRS.
Right.
I mean, the first year we finally broke 6 figures. That was the first time I got an actual tax accountant, because I probably way overpaid in taxes on that year, because I was just doing it through QuickBooks. I didn't know. I knew enough to be dangerous.
Right.
But yeah, it was a shocker for sure.
I bet. So,
yeah, it's tough with us. I have this business, and my husband and I both have a construction business, and I work full time as well. So when it comes to taxes, I'm not even touching them. I take them to somebody that I trust for sure.
Yeah.
man,
I just cringe. I cringe when I hear people talking about H&R Block and Jackson Hewitt and all them. It's like, no.
The H&R Block will take anyone in off the street and be like, all right, here's your 10-minute crash course. Go get it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think one of the turning points in 2009, of all times, I was deployed, and my wife was home with a toddler and a newborn, and we got audited, while I was out to sea,
Oh,
and my wife doesn't deal with finances at all. Like, it's all me. So for her to try to navigate through all that was very interesting. What's going on, Blake? Francisco, how you guys doing?
it's weird that I can't see the chat. Maybe I'm not logged in. Maybe that's the problem.
Yeah, so Blake
Think you
asks, he
mentioned
says, "What's
speeding
up?
up this-
What's up?" No, there you go.
I have a 35 watt. What kinds of things are you talking about? So, Blake, the main thing, right, is ensuring that everything foundationally in your settings, in your build, in all of that are basically perfect, right? Once you have everything, perfectly aligned, you have your timings. I'm talking, they have to be dialed down pat. You have to have it exactly where it needs to be, because only then are you going to get everything out of your machine. Like some people, they will buy a CO2 Galvo and they'll buy, a 300 millimeter lens, and because they want to run, 40 ounce cups or whatever. But that's all they get. When in actuality, you also need a small lens, whether it be a 75 millimeter or a 100 millimeter, to ensure that you get your timings accurate. The dot on a 300 is just too big to get perfect timings. And then your jump speeds, once those are dialed in correctly, you'll be cooking. It makes a world of difference. And the other thing too would be your, what's it called? Oh my goodness, I'm losing my train of thought. The other thing too would be your whatever. I'll think of it in a second. I'm trying to find my vape right now, and
I know that feeling. You're like freaking out, like, where the hell's it at?
Like, it's just like I've been running around like a madman for the last 3 hours, and my whole life is a mess. But it's not. It could be worse.
Yeah. So yeah, Blake, just to piggyback on that, like I have a 60 watt Galvo, and when I got it, I just never took the time to do the timing and all that stuff to it, and I was running it unidirectional, because if you run it bidirectional, if your timing's off, it's not going to line up. Mm-hmm. So I was stuck doing everything unidirectional, which obviously takes twice as long. So I didn't really use it, and then we had Pascal visit us a couple weeks ago, and they sat down and dialed everything in for us, and now that thing's spot on. Like, that's pretty much my go-to for the smaller items, and we've started using it. We started using it more for tumblers as well with the Talon. But yeah, it's becoming a popular item now that we got it set up right.
Yeah, I was wondering, because you and I had talked before about it, and you're like, man, I just can't get it working. Like, it's just not working well and stuff. And I'm like,
what it was
we
doing,
got to take a look at that.
It was ghosting.
Yeah.
And it was like really bad, and it took Non like 15 minutes, and he had it dialed in.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, and as far as the timing for Gary, the timing really doesn't change with the lens. It may the timing's not going to change, but like Nick said, the focal beam is a little bit bigger the bigger the lens you use.
Correct.
So what that affords you with the bigger lens is you can use a bigger line interval. And with the bigger line interval also increases your speed and all that stuff. But the problem with the bigger lenses is you have to have a laser that's powerful enough to overcome the differences from using the larger lens, because you need more power to project the same image over that greater area. So for Blake with a 35 watt, you're probably going to have to run that thing max power like all the time to be able to get a good engrave on things, or a consistent engrave on things. Just speculating, but but yeah, the larger the power, the better off you are with larger lenses. Timing's not going to change, but the beam size will. But yeah, so it's pretty simple. It's just like a gantry. The faster you go, the more power you need to compensate for the speed of the laser, and the slower you go, the less power you use, so you don't overpower what you're doing. So it's kind of the same thing with the Galvos, just a little bit different formula there.
The other thing too, you will hit a critical mass point basically, where you are going to cap out the how far you can push it. The thing about these Galvo lasers, right? Unlike your gantry, which is a constant beam, right? It's just, if you want it to fire nonstop, it will just continue to run and cut through. But with an RF2, it's a pulse laser, so it can only pulse so fast. You don't notice with the frequency range of like this 100 watt MOPA behind me, right? I'm like 1 to 4,000, like it's insane. But on my CO2s, it's 1 to 20, 1 to 25. The reason is with your fiber lasers, the beam generates almost instantaneously. Like it doesn't really need time to charge, but within the CO2 source, that beam has to bounce through that gas a few times. And the faster you make it pulse, the less time it has to bounce. So it's losing a lot of power as you increase your frequency. But the expander is what I was thinking about. If you have a good expander, it can help significantly offset that loss in power from your low powered, source from your 35 watt. So that can help a lot too.
One thing I know you got to watch out for is on the Galvos is how much you're using it at one shot, because
I've never had that problem.
The lenses heat up, and they actually have a thermal break in them somewhere. I don't know where it's at. But like if they overheat, or if the head overheats, it'll actually shut the laser off. But I've noticed when you're running more consistently, it's something to watch out for. Mainly, I've noticed it on the 300, using the 300 because you're having to push out so much power. And I'm talking about like constant, like you're doing a long engraving, like 10, 15 minutes, probably not going to see much issue. And if you do that, and then the downtime after you're done with loading it back up and restarting, things like that. So you're probably never going to see it. The only time you'd probably ever see it is if you're doing like flat and you're doing a large piece where you're doing a lot of different stuff to it. But I've never had it shut down on me, but I have been warned. And again, this is not like expert knowledge, but it's information that was passed on to me. Now that could be based on the laser too, like the manufacturer. It could be a cheaper laser, it could be cheaper components, things like that. So there's a lot of variables to it, but that was something that I was warned about with the CO2 in particular. I'm not sure how that actually matters, but
I personally haven't had the laser shut off because of the head heating up. I have had it shut off because I forgot to turn on my water. It'll overheat then real quick, because there's no, unlike a gantry, there's no water sensor, so it'll run. It'll run until it hits, it's like 190 or something like that. Once it hits 190 Fahrenheit, caps out.
The UV does have a sensor.
Oh, does it?
Like my UV, if I don't turn on the water chiller, the laser will shut down. Like it'll just shut down. Because I got the water cooled 10 watt from Pascal, and if you run it and don't turn that chiller on, it'll shut itself down until you turn the chiller on. Then it's got to cool down, and then it'll go again. So Blake, on this, I only have a 210. So I'm not the best person to ask about this. Nick probably knows more than I do.
A little
But
bit. I have
you
like
wanna
4
take
of
that?
these, and I've calibrated 6 of them, 7, 8 of them. It's kind of a long, uh, a long explanation, and I'm more than happy to work with you, Blake. If you shoot me a message on Facebook, we'll get together. I will walk you through those steps, and also there's a couple videos that are going to be coming out to help guide people through that process as well, all the way down to like actual laser alignment. That's why my red machine over here is taken apart, because I am going to intentionally screw up the alignment so that way you guys can see what it's like to align it. I overthought it the first time that I did it. It is not the easiest thing, but it's really easy to overthink.
It's very technical. I do
It,
know
it,
that.
it sounds like it, right? And that's what I thought too. And I remember there was one time where my laser went down for like 2 weeks because I was constantly trying to align it. And I'm talking sun up to sun down. I was working on it and got nowhere. And it turns out there was actually a bigger issue. But laser alignment is not as scary as people think. You got to remember, out in the factories at Haotian and every other manufacturer, they're able to throw these together and calibrate them and get them going and shipped up in 2 hours from the moment that they start. So if they can do it, so can you.
Yeah, I mean it's. I wouldn't say it's like a gantry because it's really not.
No,
it's more software than it is hardware.
Yeah.
Getting your software set up is the big thing, whereas a gantry, it's all basically your hardware, lining your mirrors, all that stuff. So I do know it's a little bit more technical in that aspect. But
the only big. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say while they were here, they were going through it so fast, I didn't even have a chance to ask how the hell they did it.
Yeah.
Kind of like my 3-in-1 that they came and helped set up and everything. They blew through how to cut, weld, and clean, but didn't really go over how to or what parts to put in to use and all that stuff. And
they went
their
so
instruction
fast they
manual
cut the wire.
is not.
That was so funny.
Yeah, they cut the wire too. But the instruction manual is lacking, which I can kind of understand. It's a brand new laser. I think I'm one of only maybe a dozen people in the world that have one, or that particular one. So they don't have a lot of literature on it, but I mean, what's there? I mean, if you kind of take your time and dissect it a little bit, you can kind of figure it out.
Mm-hmm. And the thing about it is, if there's anything that anyone can say for a fact, right, is whenever you get a new laser, the amount of literature that you receive, the how-to portion, it's just not there. And so, like myself, a couple others have gotten together. We're working with Pascal and them to build out a full step-by-step user manual, how-to videos. It's all going to go on Haotian's website here in the U.S. And we're stoked for it because for the first time, you'll be able to get a laser, open it up, and there will be a full instruction manual, tutorials, and eventually material libraries for every single laser out there.
Yeah, that's something that I discussed as well with Pascal when he was here was, I think people, they get great customer service, they get quality machines, but as soon as they get them, they're like, okay, what do I do with it?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Colby, we're discussing generally Galvo lasers. More specifically, we've been talking about the CO2s and UVs. But yeah, I remember my first laser, my first Galvo. No, I had never even heard of it. a CO2 galvo. I didn't know it was a thing. My buddy turned me on to one, and he's like, "You should try that." And so I did, and I thought I bought a $7,000 paperweight because I couldn't get it to work, and no one knew how to use it. And when I asked for support, they were like, "Here's a YouTube video." What? And it wasn't. It was for a fiber laser. I was like, I don't what. I doesn't make it. So
yeah, my first one, I had a Boss for my first one, and they didn't have much on it, but this was before Lightburn was even, well, it wasn't even a thing. They just came out about the same time, about 5-6 years ago. But all you had was ArtieWorks, or not ArtieWorks, but EasyCAD, and EasyCAD is just complete garbage. I mean, it's good because it's basically an industrial software. It's meant for high run production type environments. And then of course once Lightburn made a compatible version for Galvo, man, because I never used my Galvo. I mean, if I did, it was for specific purposes only. It wasn't like custom stuff or doing random things, because it was such a pain in the butt. And so when they came out with Lightburn, man, I was all over that. Because I mean, you use one software, you can jump from machine to machine with the same file and run different things, and it is so much easier. And EasyCAD, if you don't have a computer that has a high RAM capacity, it'll brick your computer in a heartbeat. Because I know I tried that with firearms stippling. I was doing a couple firearms, and I was doing full frame stippling, and man, I had to shut down and restart so many freaking times. Luckily, it didn't hurt what I was doing, but it was such a pain in the butt. Could go, 5 minutes, and then it would just shut down. Like the program would just completely shut down. You had to restart it, and then do all this stuff again, wait for it to load, wait for it to process, all that stuff. So, yeah, Lightburn's definitely made things a lot easier in that regard. So.
Absolutely. I tell people all the time it's worth every cent and then some. Nikki, what order are you doing right now?
I have a order for 200 of these 12-ounce shorties.
Oh man, are they single-sided? Are they single-sided? Yeah. Oh my goodness, we have to get you one of these.
I know, machines. I need a Galvo.
Like
I keep telling everybody this.
How long?
She's doing them in about
you per machine?
I'm doing them in about a minute and a half.
You'd knock that down to about 45 seconds to a minute.
Oh, I'm thinking I could get it even faster.
But
well,
I will tell you
with
that
cylinder correction, I'm willing to do that in under 20 seconds.
Oh, cylinder correction, yeah.
I'm telling you that, like, the change out though time on the Rotoboss has definitely saved me some time.
Absolutely. By the way, Jason, I'm gonna need about 3 more Rotobosses, 3 more Talons, Talon Pros, please, because now I got 3 more Galvos that all need that love. But the Rotoboss, I'm gonna put it to the test this next week because I have I have an order of 100 full wrap Stanley 40 ounces to do.
Good Lord, what's that? 15 minutes a piece, roughly.
This guy's design, it's pretty simple. I'd give it 7 minutes or so.
Is it spaced out? It's not it's
spaced out, and it's got a lot of dead space in the design. It's for a landscaping company. And it's gonna run quick, but especially running all 3 machines, I'm gonna have to run more power into this freaking garage. Oh my gosh.
Well, lasers don't take up that much power anyways.
Well, I can't run 3 60-watt lasers on the same breaker. I think I'm pretty sure I'll blow it.
Well, I mean, you're only pulling about 6 amps a piece. I mean, those lasers don't pull that much power. The chiller actually pulls more power if you got a chiller. But chiller pulls more power than the laser.
I have that on another circuit.
Yeah, you might be all right.
It's worth a shot, right?
One way to find out.
Exactly.
So yeah, let me get to this question real quick, Mark. So currently using a D100 rotary, but interested in the Talon. What kind of advantage would the Talon provide me over D100? If they want to answer, I'll let them answer so it doesn't come out biased.
Yeah. Okay. I got you. Probably because I've been writing out the whole spiel over the course of the last 2 weeks for a couple videos coming out. All right. So let's hop. Oh, bye, Mike. Let's hop on over to this fancy machine over here, where I got this set up so you guys can see hands-on why it's better, and better than some other machines on the market. All right. So, come on, focus. It's not focusing. There we go. All right, so here is your Rotoboss Talon. Not the Pro yet, because I haven't gotten it yet because of someone. So the first major difference, right, is the easy tightening ring. It's really tactile, very smooth, runs really well. The arms right here, these 4 arms, the best part about them is, one, they act as the backstop, right? There's not an additional part that you have to mess with to stop your cup. You just put it right up to there and it'll tighten down. Great. You don't have to mess with anything else. Plus, on other rotaries that I've played with, those backstops, the screws that screw into them strip so easily. I had a dead rotary because of a stripped out screw because of that. Another thing, this plunger up top, right there. So when I push it, right, it's going to lock this ring. So now I can tighten it real tight, freely with one hand, which is clutch for, hot swapping those various cups going between them. And then lastly, probably my favorite feature of all, and it's so dumb, and it's so small, but it is worth every red cent to me, is this. If I spin it, boom, I can't, it stops. And the freaking arms don't fall out.
The fingers out.
Yeah, like, you don't think it's a problem until you're trying to run a larger cup and you don't know that you're just barely on the edge of what's considered too far. And then you think it's on there, you start running it, and then, oh, nope, never mind. It fell off, and now you've got a dead product. So
you can always use rubber bands.
Rubber bands. Yeah, because, I spent $1,300 on a rotary so I could rubber band it together. It's great.
Yes. Like, putting those catches back in are not friendly.
Ours, well, I mean, other people have theirs numbered too, but but yeah, putting them back in, I mean, if you don't set it up right, then yeah, it could be a pain in the butt. But with the stop in there, and you can take that stop out if you ever needed to take it apart. But yeah, that was like a must. Because I mean, every rotary I've ever used has been that way, where they fall out. But more specific to like your D100, of course, obviously the D100, you got to use that chuck key in order to tighten and loosen it. And one of the bad things with that is, and the same thing with the tools, where you got to use the tools, is you don't realize how much pressure you're putting on it because you're using leverage to tighten it. So when you're tightening it, you can easily over tighten it. You can warp the cup. You can break the glass. There's several things that can happen with that. So actually using your hand, and you get used to it. You kind of feel what it's like and how far you can go or how far you need to go. But you actually have actual tactile feeling of what's going on, so you know how tight you're tightening it. So that was pretty important to me, and obviously with the four jaws, it makes it a lot more stable, especially for more delicate items, just for the fact that it's putting even pressure on all four corners, so to speak. And then you can do much heavier items without having support and all that stuff. So there's a lot of benefits to it over the D100, plus the D100, the D80, D90. Those are all metal jaws. So you can potentially scratch the surface, you can mar it, you can dent it or indent it. So there's a lot of differences with it. But the biggest thing, in my opinion, is the ease of use and how quickly you can actually change things out. The biggest thing, in my opinion.
Yeah. For sure, that is by far, I would think, the biggest advantage to it. The good news is you already have a chuck rotary, which is a lot more reliable than your a standard roller. It's not necessarily faster, but for the most part, you'd rather have a good product done than a faster product done. And then just save up, man. I promise you, it is worth every cent. Just take your time. You'll get there. It seems daunting. It seems like it's far away, but before you know it, you'll be rocking 7 machines. I started last year. I had my first sale in July. I've got a boatload of different machines now, and it just takes time, and you can do it as well. If I can do it, anyone can. I'm special. And I have no business sense whatsoever. I'm just like, woo!
I mean, come on. Like, I'm over here doing it, and like I said, I got my little 10 by 16 shop. I got 6 kids. I mean, you just got to want to do it. You either have a passion for it or you don't.
Yeah. And in my opinion, that's what sets people apart the most from being successful, right? It's not just that willingness, that drive, how bad you want it. It's your ability to learn, especially taking it on the chin and keep going. Because I'll tell you what, end of Christmas last year, I had no working machines, none, zero, nada. And I had a boatload of orders still. And I was really, really upset, but we didn't quit. And because of that, we ended up making friends with some really awesome people. And it, it was for the best. And I learned a lot through my machines breaking. Now I take them apart like they're nothing.
Yeah.
So
that's typically what I'll tell people, because people are like, well, how do I do this, or when should I do this? And typically what I'll tell people is, as soon as you get your laser, tear it down. Not like tear it apart, but take everything out of focus. Whatever you can do to mess it up, do it, and learn how to fix it then. Because if you wait until it's crunch time, let's say it's the only machine you have, you wait till it's crunch time, the machine fails, now you're scrambling trying to figure out how to fix it on top of trying to finish an order. So if you can kind of mess with it at the very beginning, figure it out, find out the little nuances and how to do it, changing your mirrors, changing your lenses, all that different stuff, learn how to do that right off the go. Like take a week, just mess with it, tear it apart, check focus, align stuff, do your test materials, whatever you can do to learn that stuff as quickly as possible, because nothing's worse than getting stuck and then trying to figure that out after you're already stressed enough as it is. So but obviously
we kind of had this conversation not too long ago about settings. People come in, they come in groups, and they're like, hey, can you give me settings? Well, I mean, anybody can give you a setting, but again, it's going to vary by machine. And if you don't understand the concept of what each setting does, it does you no good.
Yep. You need to know what your machine is doing when it's behaving a certain way, so that way you know what it's trying to tell you, right? Because I mean, I'll tell you right now, I can hear when any one of these machines is not running correctly. I can hear the difference, and I once tuned a machine just based on the sound. So you get to know your machine, and also once you start making some money, don't go off expanding your product range. Do something, get really, really good at it, and your next big purchase should be another machine. 2 of everything. Redundancy. I can't tell you how many times not having a spare screwed me over.
Yep.
Yeah, you may never use that second one or very little, but at least you have it if you need it.
Yeah, and by all means,
especially if this is more than a hobby.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you're running a business, you want to have at least one other laser. Maybe not the same one, maybe not the same type, but another laser that can do a lot of, if not all, the same things.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It doesn't even have to be, I mean, it can be a cheaper version or something like that, just something as a backup.
Yep. Boy, did I learn those hard lessons. But
again, I have this theory. You get what you pay for too. So
yeah. I was trying to help someone a while back who bought a 35-watt CO2 off of some random person I'd never heard of on AliExpress, and he was like, I was like, well, why don't we come over here? We'll see what Pascal can do for you. And he's like, well, I didn't go through him because this one was half the price. And I was like, there's a reason for it.
You get half the customer service, if half of that actually.
And that's the thing too, is like Tico is saying, he did it when he got his first laser. Yeah, you technically don't have to do it for every single laser, but getting that initial experience, so helps.
Tico, did you see my case? I was thinking of you when I was putting it together.
Yeah, that dude's got some pretty wicked enclosures.
Yeah, his enclosures are sick. I was looking at a few as references to when I was building this one. I really wanted to do what he does, where both sides open and there's no strut holding it up, right? Yeah. It's just like 3 points of contact, but it's just too big.
Yep. No, he's got some pretty cool enclosures.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, if I had the time, I would definitely be tinkering with something like that, but I don't. But I definitely want to look into that dual tower setup. 'Cause I was talking to Pascal about trying to get another 60 watt for the trailer, and if I do, I'm probably definitely going to have to look in doing the dual lift to be able to stabilize that a little bit better for travel.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, you can do this way simpler, way smaller. I just did it this way because I'm going to a show and it has to sit out on this table. And let me tell you, the crowds that this thing would draw wasn't, because people walk by, they're like, is that a 3D printer? And then they see a cup is on fire under it. And they're like, whoa, what is that?
I was watching your live the other day, and I was like, holy crap. And you can see the reflection of all the people like walking up to it.
Well, I watched the live, and it just like person after person asking questions like, holy crap.
Yeah, it draws, and that's the thing, right? It's about drawing attention. Like people are like,
if you had a regular enclosure, or not enclosure, but a regular laser there, people wouldn't have probably even thought twice about it. They'd be like, okay. You got all the lights and all the stuff all over it. Oh yeah.
The way we ran our show 2 weeks ago, we had all the product in the front and me in the back with the lasers, and they were kind of hidden, and no one noticed until I pointed them out as I was running cups. And I was like, this is not the way you need to stand out in those shows, because It's just rows of people and product. Like, be different. LED lights are cheap, y'all, and boy, do they make a difference.
Yes.
I like how you got the chasers going on it instead of just
Oh,
having
yeah.
it all just lit up. You have the chasers
Yeah,
going on.
you can do all kinds of different programs and all kinds of different light schemes and stuff, and it's pretty inexpensive. I'll be posting my full bill of materials everywhere that I got stuff, so that way if anyone wants to see what I did or how I did it or want to improve upon it, like, by all means, show me up, make it better.
Yeah.
It's going to be an open source kind of thing. And I had 2 motorized towers that were identical. I was in luck there, but now I'm down a tower for a laser, and I got to talk to Pascal about getting some towers.
Yep.
But yeah,
That's the thing too, is just getting familiar with your that doing what you did helps you get familiar with the machine as well. Because you do have it in pieces. You're having to set it up. You're having to kind of tinker with it and whatnot. So that definitely helps with kind of knowing your machine.
You can see what powers what, where the wires are running, how it's working. And it's incredibly important for you to be able to sit there and know, oh crap, this, maybe you're walking into a show and something happens and your line between your top and the split power bottom, maybe those get cut somehow. What are you going to do? Are you going to cancel your $2,000 investment the day before to go to this show and now you're SOL, or are you going to dust yourself off and get in there and bust out a soldering iron and figure it out?
Right.
So in the military, our rifle, whatever equipment we used from day one, you have to learn how to take that thing down. You learn every name of every part, and if you can't do it, well, you're going to be in trouble later. But the reason that they do that is because when shit hits the fan, you need to be able to fix it. So, same concept.
I mean, and that goes with any job, anything. If you don't know your equipment, you can't successfully do your job.
Well, that's like what you were saying, Nikki, is, a lot of people ask for settings, they ask for all kinds of different stuff. But the problem with that tends to be, like you said, is not every machine's the same. Like, you can have 2 Mira 9s side by side, and I can almost guarantee you the settings aren't going to be the same for each one. They're going to be slightly different in some way or another.
And I think that's what kills me, is I see there's several makers out there who sell a listing of settings, and it drives me crazy, because how do you sell something that you can't guarantee?
The only thing that I will say about that, right, is so I purchased, just because I wanted to see what it was like if you bought one of those. And so I purchased a set off of Etsy. A guy did a set for a 100-watt fiber laser. And I was like, okay, yeah, let's give it a shot. Let's see how it works. And for a baseline, I mean, don't get me wrong, it does exactly what it says it's going to do. If I want to engrave black onto steel, it will engrave black onto steel. It's going to do it slow as hell, but it does it. They're not optimized settings, but they are functional settings. Yeah. And if you're not looking for the highest speed or whatever, like, they'll get you by. But this is a great example of kind of what we were just talking about. So I just got yesterday those 2 lasers back from China, from that company. And this is the test sheets that they sent with them. And they are both different. On one of them, it passed on the data sheet, testing for, even though it's a 60-watt machine, it tested for 84 watts. On this one, same machine, tested for 79 watts. So right off the bat, you're gonna see differences from machine to machine, and
Yep.
and it's important that you understand how to maximize every single one. And also, I want to put in some feedback for Lightburn to give me the ability to put my devices into folders, because I have so many lenses for each machine that if you go into my devices page on Lightburn, it's like a mile long.
Yeah. Yep. And then all that comes back to too for people is knowing why you're doing what you're doing. I wanted to circle back kind of what we were talking about. Nikki was saying is knowing what you're doing and why you're doing it. Because if someone just feeds you answers all the time, you're never going to know why what you did worked or what you need to do to fix it if you don't learn why it's doing it itself. You know what I mean? So, if someone's saying you know 600 millimeters a second, 30% power, and a 0.06 line interval. Okay, like why am I doing that? Like what is that doing for me? If I change one thing, what's that going to do? If I change another, what's that going to do? So just getting familiar with it in that regard will definitely help a lot as well. And that goes back to forgetting his name, Blake. Knowing what you're doing is going to help. Knowing why you're doing it is going to help even more. Because otherwise you're bouncing back and forth. Like I saw a post, I think it was yesterday or today or something, about someone having that exact problem. They're getting all this information from people and none of it's really working, and they don't understand why it's not working. Because it works for this person, but it's not working for them. They don't understand why it's not working or how to fix it. So it kind of boils down to just getting to know your machine. That's like, if I could drive anything home, that's the most important thing, is just knowing your machine and how to use it. And as far as the calibration, I couldn't tell you. I could figure it out, but I couldn't tell you. If someone asked me to tell them how to do it, I wouldn't be of any help to them. But I know what they did and what it. I know the changes they made, and I know why it did it and how it did it. But for me, just to jump in there and do it myself, it would take a little bit to figure out, this one's up, this one's down, this one's over here, whatever. So it would take a little while, but I know how it functions. I know why it's doing what it's doing, so it'll be a little bit easier. But a good instruction would be beneficial in that regard. But
all in due time. I got everyone. I got y'all. I'm here for you.
And that's another thing too. Like, there are so many people out there who are trainers and this and that and the other. There are a very select few that actually can understand and let you comprehend these things that we're saying now. And anybody, and most of them, they'll go take classes from somebody else and turn around and do classes themselves. And so you're getting secondhand information. It's kind of like, what is that little white lie game where you tell one person something and then
the telephone game?
Yeah,
telephone.
yeah, that's exactly the way it is. And I'll tell you what, the first problem I ever ran into, and I didn't know it at the time, but I was following instructions on a YouTube video, and it was for aligning your red dot on a Galvo with your beam, right? And on a fiber laser, that's super simple. You just kind of adjust your screws and you line up your dots and you're good to go. But I didn't know that on a CO2, that changes things significantly. And I started having problems right away. Because when you adjust that lens, the pass-through lens for your red dot, it actually does affect the beam. The beam will either adjust up or down, or it'll skew, and before you know it, you're losing power because your beam's not fully hitting your mirror.
Or it's hitting the side of it instead of the center of it, or something like that.
it's these little things that they don't go over, that you have to learn the hard way. And a lot of people, right? Like we've all encountered it where people, and they have the right to do so, right? You worked hard to get the settings that you found for your machine to do something the best and the brightest, right? If you figured out a new way to do something, by all means, you own that and you have every right to hold on to it. But for me, I have gone through so many anxiety and panic attacks because of these freaking machines that I don't want anyone to deal with that. And so I'm by all means happy to give away any information that I can. And I think all of us here are just willing to help. Gary, I haven't
try to share my settings with everything I post.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just because at least it'd be a starting point for somebody.
Mm-hmm.
And you know,
Yeah,
that's something that I don't think not everybody does that. And when they post something, they want the attention, but then they get ill because they get 500 comments. What are the settings? What are the settings?
Yep.
I mean, if you're not willing to share, simply put, I don't want to share my settings in your post.
Yeah. And
Yeah, it's like people gatekeep information like it's some big secret. Like I just had a local guy that does merchandise. Like he does engraving, he does other stuff. He stopped by the shop. We shot the shit for about an hour, showed him around, and he left. Like, and he's a direct competitor, so to speak. But it's like, realistically, he's not. I mean, he's got his niche. I got my niche. You know, so the biggest problem I see is when people share settings and even for me, like I don't answer a lot of posts because it's going to take you down a rabbit hole because you're going to have 50 other people saying something completely different that may not be entirely wrong, but it draws confusion with people that are trying to understand this when they get all this stuff. And that's one of the reasons, like, I put my number on the Rotary because I want people to call me. I'd rather them call me. But the first thing they do is throw a post on Facebook. They're looking for instant gratification or instant information, but they could call me and get that and be done with it in like 5-10 minutes. So I mean, it's kind of frustrating, and I leave posts alone for the most part unless I have something to add, I guess. But you definitely got to be mindful of who you get your information from, and I say this in almost every live or podcast that I'm on, is you got to know who you're getting your information from. Yes, there are some people that know their stuff, but the secondhand information, third-hand information, you know, you may be getting some bum gouge or parts and pieces of legitimate information, and you got to try to figure out, you know, what works. So find the reputable people that you know and trust. And all these classes and stuff. I mean, I get it. It's a way to make money. You know, kudos. Do you? But just because they charge for a class doesn't mean they know what they're talking about a lot of times. So just be careful with that, because I can't remember who it was, but someone said they bought classes with somebody. Might have been Nick or Matt. I don't remember who. But anyways, they bought classes to learn from somebody, and they knew more than the person that was trying to teach them how to do something. And they paid a large amount of money. It's like $400 or $600 or something like that.
I mean, most quote instructors will charge at least $100 an hour. Yeah,
I mean, if I do it, it's usually $100 an hour.
Yeah, and I don't think that's a bad price.
And I don't do it a lot. I mean, I don't have a problem doing it for free, but the problem with that is when I'm getting bombarded with phone calls and emails and stuff, you know, people have come to know that I'm happy to give the information out, you know, but at some point you got to kind of tailor that back a little bit. And really the only way to do it is to charge money, because if people really want the information, then they'll pay for it. And I don't have a problem with that, except for the fact that you got people that don't know what they're talking about or don't fully understand things. And that's where it gets people in trouble, because if they don't know it, and they tell you they don't know it, you basically kind of wasted your time because they're supposed to help you, instead of paying them to tell you that they don't know what they're doing or they don't have an answer.
And
sometimes you
I
see
would
posts
say-
asking about something,
ahead.
get 50 different diagnoses and 90% are wrong. Yep. So I mean,
Mhm.
and it's just like YouTube, like everything that I know, and I'm not ashamed to say this, but everything I know in the past 10 years of doing this stuff in particularly, I've learned everything off of YouTube. Like I learned how to do CAD. I learned how to 3D print. I learned how to run lasers or all this stuff. Because back when I started nearly 10 years ago, we didn't have any of that. Like we had nothing. So when you guys get a laser and you have no documentation, or you have very little documentation, it's a lot better than what we had back then, where you had like nothing. So I mean, it's just, I don't know. It's just know who you're getting your information from, and take it from a couple different people. Even like if you get a hold of Nikki and she tells you one thing, you get a hold of Nick, he tells you another thing, and if they're different, you know, somebody's not right. Like then you got to kind of figure out what it is, and kind of hopefully make it work for you. But
and the thing too, right? These machines, they are not black and white. It is not so simple. Oh, you can get rid of that. I was just replying to someone. They're not so simple that one answer is correct and one answer is always incorrect. I mean, look at the fiber laser. I got once again a frequency range of 1 to 4,000, and you're telling me that I have to hit me at 3,852 exactly every single time to hit a certain thing? No, that's not the case. These machines are malleable, and you're able to do a lot with them. And like we said, every machine is different. Some can run faster, some are slower, some can do one thing, others can do another. At the end of the day, take everything that you learn, consume that knowledge like crazy, and then start working. Because when you do that, you are going to learn even more. You're going to find processes that people weren't sure about. I dove down an internet rabbit hole, and I didn't know about the distance per step. And I'm sure Jason knows all about it, because I mean, he builds rotaries. But for the longest time, I was trying to figure out, you know, how to get that perfect split and things. And one of the things that came up was distance per step, which is literally the tiny fraction of a millimeter that your rotary is moving for every single step that you're dividing that 360 degrees into. I mean,
there's more that's involved in that too, because you have the motor, and the motor, like all of our motors, use like a 1.8 degree step angle. Some motors use a 0.9. Some motors use a higher number. So that's going to play into all that as well. So that's another thing where if someone gives you information or whatever, try to get information from somebody that has something very similar, if not the same. That way you have a very close comparison to what it should be or should look like or should do. Like a lot of people ask questions. A big red flag for anybody asking a question is if you post a question with a picture, it says, "Why is my laser doing this?" And you got like 20 people jumping in, just spouting off random shit. Chances are those are not the people you want to listen to, because the first words out of anybody's mouth that can hold their weight is, "What machine do you have? What are your settings? You know, what kind of material are you running?" You know, asking questions if you don't provide that information already. Otherwise, they're just shooting from the hip and they're just throwing stuff out there, and those are the last people that you want to listen to.
Long shot in the dark if you're not providing those details, for sure. And guess what? Every single person who is considered, quote, an expert, which I know no one in this room, despite cumulatively our vast knowledge across these various machines, will ever say that I know everything, will ever say that I am an expert, because we're not, but we work. and we see what works, we see what doesn't, and we're happy to admit when we're wrong. And that right there is an indication of the people you should listen to.
Yep.
People who tell you that I don't know, and that's okay. My
And
first
most
instructor.
of us-
I'm a
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Most of us that don't, if we tell you we don't know, we probably know somebody that can help you.
Mm-hmm.
And so we'll refer you to those people. I tell people all the time, like JMBZ taught me just about everything I know about my fiber. I'm not the one to teach you. Like, I know what I'm doing, but that doesn't mean I learn from them.
Mm-hmm.
So if they can teach me, I feel like they can teach somebody else, and that's where I refer. And that's where most of us come into. And that's not even only in lasers, that's business wise in general. Like if somebody's better at something than I am, that's where I'm sending you. I'm going to tell you though, I don't know. I'm not going to tell you and lead you in the wrong direction.
Yeah, don't be mad at somebody because they know more than you. I mean, that's the biggest thing is people get butt hurt, I guess is the lack of a better way to put it. You know, if someone knows something that they don't, they get upset. And it's like, why? I mean, learn from them. Like I'm a big proponent. If you don't learn something every day, you're doing something wrong.
Yeah, what'd you do?
What was it? Today or yesterday, we were doing something that none of us in the shop had ever done before.
Work?
And
was it working?
Okay, two things none of us had done before. But basically we came together, we're like, hey, this might work. Well, this might work. So we kind of talked it out, worked it out, and figured out how to do it. And what it was, I'm trying to think of what the heck it was. I can't even remember. I think it was, we were doing a cup, and it had something to do with
crosshatch.
No. Yeah, I can't remember. We did so much stuff last week and this week trying to get caught up for the storm. I can't remember, but it had to do with a cup. It was something that we hadn't done, or we were trying to. We were using, it was on wood, and we were using or trying to learn how to powder coat an engraving, where you engrave it, you put some powder coat on it, you re-engrave it, and we'd never done it before. I mean, I bought some to try it, and we're trying to figure it out, and then we figured out, okay, you don't want to use a lot of air because you're going to blow that powder basically out of the way before it has a chance to engrave, and then your speed and everything's completely different, and power is completely different than what you would use on a normal thing. So that was one thing that we'd never done before that we wanted to try. We finally tried it, and we failed miserably the first time. But you got to not be afraid to take chances. And for something like that, like there's people out there that do it, and they could probably help you. But it's just one of those things. Try something new. Don't be afraid to just pick it up and try it. I mean, that's like a lot of people do that. The repeat mark with Surmark, like they'll engrave a cup and then say the cup is supposed to have like dual tones to it or something, or the design. They'll go back in, they'll send the other part of the design, spray some spray on it, and then go back over with a laser to turn it black. So it gives it kind of depth and perspective on the design. I couldn't tell you how to do that. I mean, I have an idea and I would try it myself, but I wouldn't be the one to tell you exactly how to do it, so.
Be, like, dare to be different, right? Like, everyone. It seems like, especially after COVID, right? Laser engraving just took off.
I think all of us with ADHD that was stuck in the house, like, ended up with laser engravers.
Yeah. And, a lot of people cranking out the same products. Like, I buy files from the same people that buy files from like Kristen and the various other designers and stuff. And so we're all selling the same products, and that's fine, right? Like, you should offer the same products as your competitor if you're legally able to do so, because you don't want to not offer something that someone else does, and now you lost a sale because of it. But what can you do? What skills do you have? What did you do before this, right? That allowed you to be, that can make you different now. For example, I'm a total nerd. I built Gundam models, right? I build models. I airbrush them. I did everything that I could to cram as much detail into a piece of plastic that was possible with an airbrush. And so what am I doing here? This is a red Iron Man cup that I am engraving. The next step, why is it covered in plastic tape head to toe? Because I'm going to take a very special gold paint and I'm going to airbrush over it, because they don't make red and gold. And the thing that I'm, it's just going to be something special that I can offer someone to be different from anyone else who's selling an Iron Man cup or whatever. The point is, like, look, this enclosure, anything that you do, you should be different in only the way that you can, because we were all told we're special snowflakes when we were little, and it's time to put that shit to work.
That's one way to look at it for sure.
Yeah. And also,
that's like wraps. I don't do wraps.
Mm-hmm.
Luckily, I don't have anybody asking for them, but
yeah,
I can do them. I don't.
Yeah. And the thing too, I always tell people that once you have like a basic understanding of one thing, you'd be surprised how identical everything else in the world is. For example, your gantry laser. Oh shit, we got the cool guy here. So your gantry laser is really not very different from a 3D printer, which is not very different from your Galvo. And you can mix and match all of these things to create your own stuff. I'm going to work on making my own linear, what is it called? Linear plane, where it uses rotary, but instead of a rotary, it's a flatbed that moves across.
Like a conveyor?
Kind of. There's a product. It's called the Index X.
Alicia has one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alicia has something similar to that, I believe.
Yeah.
For her UV, I think it is.
Yeah, and it's great for mass production or for long. Like, what's the biggest drawback of a Galvo? The workspace. But what if you could overcome that? So it's not as complicated if you just take a moment and do a little research, take a little time. You can master anything. If I can do it,
University, man.
Shit, like
I got multiple degrees from YouTube University.
I'll tell you how smart I am, everyone. I scored the highest you can possibly score on the entrance test for the military. And what job did I choose when I had any option?
Grunt.
Infantry. I chose a grunt, which is yeah, you qualify if you put your name down on the test. I turned down like a $40,000 signing bonus for Army intelligence because I wanted to go blow stuff up. So if you're wondering if you can't do it, just remember this guy can do it. So can you.
Yep.
When I joined the military and I scored high on my ASVAB, and I knew some guys that did, and they scored too high, they wouldn't allow them to do infantry.
Yeah. I wish my recruiter was like that.
I scored so low I didn't have a choice but to be a mechanic.
But the Navy still took you.
Yep. Got their 20 out of me.
Oh man, I didn't know you retired, Jason.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Man.
Yep, they got my 20 and I was done.
I always forget how old you are.
Hey. The gray don't give it away. No,
No, it's salt and pepper.
no, like for mine, like the ASVAB for me, like one, I'm a huge procrastinator. I work really well under pressure, so I usually do everything under pressure. But I knew what I had to score to get what I wanted because I wanted to be a mechanic. I wanted to be. I was a flight engineer on P3 aircraft. The guy that sits in the center seat and controls power levers and gauges and switches and all that stuff. So obviously I was smart enough for that. But you know, like for the ASVAB, I scored what I needed to get in, and that was pretty much it. But and then I retook it later because I was in jeopardy of having to either get out or cross rate. So I retook it and got like a 74 or something like that. And then I was gonna go Intel, but luckily I was able to keep my job. So
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean you're only as good as you want to be in a lot of cases. Like if you don't want to put the effort.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
When I was in the military, I worked on chemical radiation devices and night vision goggles. That's what I did. And now I manage. I work on the Air Force Base here now, and I manage all the C-130 and F-15 parts.
Wait, Nikki, are you telling me that you helped make nods? Is that what you're telling?
Yes.
You and I got beef. All right, we're not friends anymore. You know how many holes I fell down in Afghanistan because I didn't have peripheral vision?
Well, we can only give you so much technology that they give us, okay?
Well, that's the thing. I love when people say, "Oh, this is great. It's military grade," and I'm like, "You guys know that's like
that's the lowest
literally
bidder.
the cheapest that they could legally give you."
Yes.
Like there is body armor that is way better than what we wear. It's lightweight and it'll stop a freaking 338 Lapua like it was nothing. And yet here we are walking around with these 50-pound ceramic plates that can take one hit.
Yeah, exactly. You get hit once, you're dead after the second one.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that don't. A lot of people that haven't been in don't understand that. It used to be a good thing, and I'm sure that's where the military grade came from at one point. But now, like I dealt with tools, hazmat, and fire prevention, and like especially ordering tools. Like you're restricted; you can only buy from these 3 people, but you can't buy from the same person 2 times in a row. Yep. You got to bounce it back and forth, even though they're the cheapest. You may have to go with the most expensive for your next order because you've already used the other 2, you know, and a lot of it comes down to, again, the lowest bidder, like guns. SIG is big for military. They're absolutely shit weapons, but military grade, you know, everybody thinks SIG is some great thing, which they are good guns, don't get me wrong, but there's better out there.
Of course.
So yeah, it's funny when people are like, "Oh, well, military uses it." It's like, okay,
yeah.
Like Harbor Freight has better tools than we buy in the freaking military. Like, put it that way.
Absolutely.
You know?
Hey, don't you diss on Harbor Freight?
When you get,
all right?
you get screwdrivers. You get a screwdriver in the military. You use it once, the tip breaks off of it.
Yeah.
What's that?
Those TikTok videos where they're comparing the Harbor Freight, what is it, the Icon tools to the Snap-ons. Have you guys seen those?
Yeah.
I haven't seen that one. I'm gonna have to look it up.
Like,
I'll never.
The Harbor Freight ones are blowing the Snap-on tools out of the water.
That doesn't surprise me. Does not surprise me.
Well, like I have some Snap-ons, but they were basically hand-me-downs from my dad. But I would never buy a Snap-on. Like my dad, if it wasn't Snap-on or Craftsman, he didn't own it. Like, and it just, to me, it's just for the price you pay. I mean, granted, if I needed something reliable and consistent, I would probably go to Craftsman or Snap-on. But if it's something that I know that's going to wear out, and a lot of their tools have lifetime warranty too. So I mean, it's like you pay $5 for a wrench versus $20. It's still got a lifetime warranty. You know, it may not last you as long, but you can still replace it at any time. But But yeah, you just got to know, like grinders. Like I got a grinder from Harbor Freight that I've had for like 15 years. It still freaking works. Like nothing's like it's never been used before. It works just fine.
I have a
you know,
Delta table saw that came from Harbor Freight. Like
Yep.
it's probably 20-something years old. They don't even think they sell Delta anymore, and that thing works like a charm.
Have you guys seen that video where it's like the plumber with Ryobi tools, and the guy, he walks into the guy's basement. This plumber walks in, and there's like water everywhere, and there's like a pipe, like a main line, just blasting water everywhere. And the guy's like, "Oh man, this is such a problem." And the plumber's like, "Oh yeah, I'll get right to work." And he busts up, and he's holding a Ryobi power drill, and the guy's like, "You know what? Actually, never mind. I got it. It's okay. It's not a big deal." Like, he's like, "Are you sure? I'm right here. I can fix this." And he's like, "You know, I think I'm good."
It's like Black and Decker.
Right. Tools are gonna break. Shit's gonna break. And my whole this past week I broke, I think, 5 3mm hex wrench drill bits. Just snapped them right off.
Yeah, those like we use MIP for all of our tools, all of our hex drivers, all our wrenches. So I mean, there's certain things that I don't skimp on as far as like what I use. But I mean, obviously there are some things like we use 8mm, 10mm wrenches. I just buy them in bulk from Harbor Freight. You know,
if you ever have the opportunity to buy 110mm sockets, buy them, because the moment you open, there will be 57 left. And the moment you look away, they will all be gone.
Dude, it's funny you say that because I was working on my car a while back, and I tore the inner fender out on one side, and guess what I found wedged underneath the inner fender in the frame?
A 10mm socket.
It was a 10mm wrench.
Oh, shit.
It was wedged between the fender skirt and the frame because it kind of sits down on it and bolts to it. It was wedged. I don't know how it got in there, but it was wedged in between that. And I took that inner fender out, and a tool hit the ground. I'm like, I don't have the tools in my hand. Where the hell did that come from? I look underneath, like a 10mm wrench laying on the floor. I'm like, what? And I think it was a Craftsman too.
For probably days.
But yeah, those things go missing all the time.
Yeah. Be organized. Put your tools back. Put your tools back,
I think
people.
Is that April? Yeah, April. Harbor Freight's the Hobby Lobby of tools.
Harbor Freight's where I go where I know I'm about to break some shit. Because
it's like I got a new toolbox. I got a brand new toolbox from Harbor Freight. One of the Champions or whatever they're called. I think that's the name of it. I'm not sure. But anyways, bought one. Like a third the price of Craftsman, Snap-on, Cobalt, all that stuff. Just as good. I mean, soft close drawers. I mean, nothing wrong with it.
Yeah, and like we all know there's a lot of time you're paying for a brand name. I'll tell you what. I was talking to Brad. And I mean, we all know right now, if you were to go and buy a laser from Hautien, from BWM, from any other manufacturer, part for part, you're pretty much getting the same thing, right? Like they look the same. But I was talking to Brad yesterday, and let's just say that's not going to be the case no more. There's going to be some things that they're going to start doing to set themselves apart in a lot of great ways. And soon, paying for a brand name will be more than just the support you get afterwards. It's gonna be really, really big changes, and I'm so excited to see it.
Well, that's like us. I mean, I put a lot of money into like the details on the rotaries, milling, and all that stuff. And do I have to? No, but I want people. One, I want them to know they got the best out there, and I want it to look the part. Like I don't want just some clunky piece of metal sitting on someone's laser table. you know,
Mhm.
So just adding those little things to it make a big difference. Like even Houghton, like they're going to be making different color stuff. They're making different cases and different stuff like that. Just do they have to? Not really, but to set yourself apart and actually show people that it's worth what you're paying for it. To me, that's the important part. It costs me more money to do it, and I don't pass that on to people, but to me, it's worth it. Like all the stuff, the shirt, the candy, the stickers, all that other stuff, the same thing. I don't make anything off of it. I do it because I want to.
I don't know,
because I want to set myself apart.
I don't know why every company sends me candy now when I buy stuff from them. All the time. I'm getting. And the thing is, I'm in Arizona, so everything just comes melted.
Yeah.
But no, I feel like these companies know now that we as customers, we demand more. And as the field continues to grow, as laser engraving becomes more popular, as it becomes more mainstream, and people realize like this is the most versatile machine almost in the world. You can apply it to any industry, and there is something that industry can benefit from. You can make products for any industry with your laser. There's no one that can't get something from you. And as we continue to grow and we say, hey, we want more out of our customer service, out of our machines, out of everything, they have to adjust. And I'm just happy to see how Tien's the first one to take that step. So
I look forward to seeing what they have to come out. It'd be pretty interesting to see. It's like even with the other laser companies like Thunder, Eon, all them, a lot of them now are more focusing on the aesthetics, not just the machine. With Eon, they're different colors and different whatever they updated in their new series. Same thing with Thunder, with the Bolt series. I mean, there's a lot of things that they added to that. Are the other companies going to follow suit? Maybe not. Probably not. But just doing that, it makes people. And it's not that you're trying to like scam people necessarily. It's just trying to give them what they're paying for. It's kind of how I look at it. Is I want people to know that what they're paying for is worth what they're paying. And that's the important part. Whether adding color or the milling or engraving or whatever it is. The same thing applies to your business as a whole, or anybody's business as a whole. And like Nick said with the enclosure, like he goes to a show and you can't help but see it. And that's the biggest thing is once people see it, they're going to be interested to find out more about it. And if you just have a plain Jane run-of-the-mill setup, rotary, laser, whatever, same thing. It's like, oh, it's just another laser. Who cares? Or it's just another whatever. So just setting yourself apart, do it within reason, obviously. Don't go negative trying to sell something just because you want it to look good. I mean, you got to make money off of it, but just don't do all the flashy, unnecessary stuff like a lot of companies are doing. They're doing a lot of unnecessary, flashy, gimmicky stuff like buy this, get this free, stuff like that.
I'm starting to feel a little targeted here. A little bit targeted. Okay.
I mean, it may just be a little bit of envy. Okay, Nick.
Might be.
Well, no, I'm not talking about your enclosure and stuff.
No, I know. Like, I know.
You're doing it because it's a hobby / passion to do that kind of stuff. That just so happens to benefit you. But I'm just talking about like all these new products that come out, like even OMTech. Like OMTech's got the same, and I don't want to disparage OMTech because I mean for what they are. And if you know how to work on them, they're great machines. But
that's what I started with.
Like they're coming out with all these flashy bodies and colors and things like that, but they're not adding substance to the machine to make it better necessarily. They're just putting a splash of color on it, making it look a little bit different and saying it's something new. Or adding linear rails to something that doesn't need linear rails, or
gimmicky parts that don't actually do anything,
or a level on a head that will never set level. I mean, just stupid stuff like that. It's like, why would you? And people are going to buy it because they think they're getting benefit out of it, but it's not. It's a lot of gimmicky stuff. I mean, my most gimmicky item, I guess you could say, would be my Ascend, and it's not really gimmicky, but there's a lot involved in it. It's very complex. It's very intricate, but every part of it serves a purpose and nothing more than that, so it's just, and that comes down to too is knowing, like, don't just follow influencers. Like, everybody, people might make money, they want to be affiliates, whatever, that's fine, but at least be honest with people when you're doing it. Like, don't say you have the best thing around when it's the only thing you've ever used. Like, because you're doing people a disservice, because a lot of people will buy based on that. Of course, you're going to make money off of it, but then they're going to get it. Like Glowforge. Glowforge is huge marketing. Like, they're phenomenal with marketing. They got good looking machines. They're great with marketing, but the machines aren't. Not that they're not good, but they're not up to what the market
they're for a specific
is.
They're up for a specific.
They're slow. They're loud. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they're looking for hobbyists.
Right.
Which,
it's
a great entry level to the laser world.
The same people who would
but
buy.
But if you're paying $7,000, yeah. So if you're paying $7,000 for a machine that can't do a lot of stuff, like the head height, the Z height, like someone got a hold of me about a OM Tech Polar. Like, it's just a flatbed, no adjustments. If they want to do something, they got to prop it up and wedge it, things like that, to get it level, and there's no adjustments to it. They want to use a rotary. It's not impossible, but it is very laborious to try to set it up. But just things like that people get roped into, and then they realize, well, wait a minute, why'd I do that?
Yeah.
Like, this is not what I was expecting or what I wanted. And then.
And what did you learn?
Did you?
That I should have not gotten roped into Glowforge, okay?
But at the time, right? You didn't know any better, and it seemed like a solid product. And at this point,
I'll be honest with you, I made a killing with my Glowforge. I still have it. It still works.
Hey.
I mean, like I said, they're good machines, but like for production and stuff, there's a huge difference between a Glowforge and like a Thunder or a Mira or whatever. There's a huge difference, and the price points are about the same.
Yes.
Like, I think the most expensive Glowforge is like $7,000 or $8,000.
Yeah.
That big honking 24x36, I think they have now, the big one. And you can get a comparable machine for a third less. That's 10 times better.
And it can use light burn.
But then again, like I said, yeah, that's the biggest. Like, I would never own a Glowforge just for the simple fact that it's web based. Same thing with full spectrum laser. I would never use it because it's web based. Like, you don't have control over it. Gravograph, same thing. It's all web cloud based. So I mean, it sounds nice until your internet goes out in the middle of a job and you can't do anything because you have no access to your files or anything to run it. And I don't know if there's, maybe Nikki knows, I don't know if there's any kind of way around that to store files locally. But as far as I know, everything is cloud-based. Unless they've changed that recently, I don't know.
No, the Glowforge is completely cloud-based, and if you don't pay their subscription, it doesn't hold it.
You got to pay You got to pay a subscription too.
So they have a subscription And if you want to store your files, you have to pay for the subscription on their user interface. But
So what
you can always,
what happens if
can
you stop
save
using them?
anything from the Glowforge as an SVG to use anywhere else.
So let's say, okay, so you had a Glowforge. Let's say you had 100 files in their cloud. If you go to a Mira 9 that you got now, you basically lost those files. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
You can't get them back off of their server?
Download them from their software to my computer to use on my Mira 9. It doesn't allow you.
Oh, that sucks.
But if I bought that file off of Etsy, of course, and it's an SVG, I'll be able to use it. But anything that I created or done on Glowforge user interface it belongs to them. They actually have it. Like if I design or anything I cut, print, anything, they have rights to it.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of these other softwares are the same way.
That's like Google. I don't put a lot of stuff on. I have a Google Drive that I use for internally but we don't put any like pertinent information and stuff on there because Google's the same way. I mean, yes, you can download the files off of it, but technically when you sign up for them, the fine print basically tells you that whatever you put on their server is theirs.
They have
they
rights
own
to it. Mm-hmm.
And you know, no, thank you.
And
that's why we have our own internal cloud in the shop that everybody uses. So like we have 5 computers in the shop, actually 6 now, and all 6 of those computers run off of that cloud. Like the hard drive on the computer is strictly software. That's it. So we can make changes, we can add, we can delete, we can whatever, and it's across the board. Because it used to be like I'd do something in my office, I'd throw it on a flash drive, run out to the laser computer, throw it on the laser computer, be like, oh shit, I got to make a change, but that never makes it back to the office computer where all the parent files are, let's say. It never makes it back there. If it does, it comes back as a different file, and then you have all these different files and try to figure out which one's the right one, and you know, so that's why we went to the network. And plus, I can pull it up at home. I can pull it up on my phone.
Mm-hmm.
I can share it with you. I can send it to somebody, you know, so it just makes it so much easier, and you don't have to worry about someone else having access to your files or to your information.
You know, we were talking about companies and things like that. Like as they start to grow, they start to try to develop, and like you said, they were going to, you know, they're adding color, they're adding cosmetic features and things like that. Well, they start doing that and they start losing their customer service because they start focusing more on sales. And so I feel like, you know, they get bigger too fast and they lose their integrity as a company.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that and they jack their prices through the roof for nothing.
Yes.
Like for something that's not needed.
And
like absolutely arbitrary, but they jack the prices up, and you know, I mean, like our Talon Pro, there's only $100 difference.
Yeah. And you can upgrade from a Talon to a Talon Pro. Like that's my whole thing, right? So first off, I refuse to be an affiliate. I don't want to be motivated by sales. If you got a good product, I'm happy to push products that are solid and that I believe in. I don't want to be pushing it because that's the only way I'm going to make money. But when it comes to these, you know, second generation products that are coming out and things where you have to replace your old equipment to get that newer product that only gives you maybe a minor performance gain, but it's like taking a 2003 Honda Civic and driving it down to AutoZone and buying every chrome stick-on you can find and then coming out and calling it a new car. Like, guess what? It's still a 2003 Honda Civic. And then they turn around and they try to sell it back to you, telling you that it's all
That's like all
new.
of our stuff is. Yeah, all our stuff is. I used to say backwards compatible, but like anything that we make, it's basically 2 steps ahead of what's coming. So that way, when that does come, you just add that new piece. You've got a new product essentially, without having to spend more money and then try to sell what you had. And you know, I mean, there's only a couple rotary, like for us, there's only a couple rotaries that doesn't work with, but for the most part, that's basically how we built it. Same thing with the Talon. I knew I was going to do the belt drive at some point.
Hey, Jason, did you see Mark's
And
comment?
then,
where he
so I
wants
made
to know
I made
different-
that intentionally with the yeah. Oh no, I didn't. Thanks. So the Talon Pro, the Talon is basically just a good all around chuck. The Talon Pro will work with all the same machines. The biggest thing with the Talon Pro is it's got the belt drive. I say gear reduction, but it's not really a reduction, it's an increase. But same concept. But anyways, so basically that's built more for your Galvos, your RF2 Blazers. If you're going to be doing a lot of turntable stuff, it offers more torque, so that way the motor can handle it a lot better than a direct drive. So that's the big differences with it. It's not with the Pro, you're not really gaining anything mechanically different as far as how it works, but what you are gaining is the ability to do a few other things and several others just better, more efficiently. You know, we put all our heads for all the Pro and everything is all 70-75 aluminum now. So it's a lot more durable. It's a lot more wear resistant. The motion and everything's a lot smoother. So there's a lot of benefits to it. And like I said, it's just, I think it's $100 more. It's not a whole lot more. But again, trying to keep costs low and all that stuff. So that's why we did it that way. But like I said, to answer your question, there's no real big difference, except for the fact that it's more geared towards your Galvos and things like that. And as far as when it starts shipping, if you pre-order before, if you pre-order before the 15th of October, you'll get it for the same price as the Talon is. 2, you'll probably start receiving them next week. All the pre-orders are going to start going out next week. And then after that, after the pre-orders are done, the official launch date's November 1st. Same thing with the Ascend Pro. But any pre-orders that are ordered by the 15th of October are going to start shipping out next week. And you save about $150 between the 2 different rotaries, the Talon Pro and the Ascend Pro. So
All right, Nick, that doesn't mean you get to showcase it before me, okay?
Bet. Hey, it's built for the Galvos. Where's your CO2 Galvo?
Hey. I'm ready to do just as good on my Mega 9.
I've got 4.
Well, you could spare one then. Just ship one to me so I can showcase it too.
Do you know how heavy this thing is? I ain't paying for that shipping. You crazy. Bro, you crazy. You come get it. Here's the thing. You know why I am all for buying whatever Rotoboss makes? For the simple fact that I know when they come out with the next edition of their product that's better, they gear it toward protecting my investment, right? These are not cheap pieces of machinery. They're not cheap products, and there's a reason that they're not cheap. You have to spend money to get something good. You know, you're not going to buy a Ferrari for the cost of a 1992 Toyota Corolla. It's just not going to happen. Right. But when Ferrari turns around and says, hey, we know that you bought last year's model and we came out with this year's model, but you can upgrade for like barely anything, that right there is enough for me, because that means that I'm not going to end up with 24 rotaries over time because I bought new ones and just upgraded because you kind of have to. In a world that's constantly getting better, you need to offer the best product you can. And so you're going to have to eventually upgrade. The difference is, are you spending another $1,500, or do they care about
or
you?
you spending a couple $100?
Are they gonna? Nothing's free, but at least a company that bears that in mind and is like, hey, we care about our customer. Sold right there every time.
Yeah, because we could easily all day just sell new ones.
You know how Pascal infinitely got my business? Because I was having problems with a machine from his competitor, and I had never purchased from him. I'd never spoken to him. And someone said, oh, you should reach out to Pascal. And so I did. And even though technically he could have been liable should he had told me or pointed me in the direction of something wrong or whatever, nope, he without question, without worry, without a delay, he immediately started helping me and pointed me to people who could help and started me on that process. And within a week, I had met someone, actually Brad, who sold me his CO2 Galvo without even having the money for it yet. Like, I had no money, and Brad shipped it. I didn't even pay him. I'd known him a few days. So the point is, always side with good people. Find good people. They will always have your back and they'll always help you out. So Blake, because it was portable, right? At least you only have the 35 watt. The 60 watt's a whole other monster. And don't even get me started. They go up to like 150 and 300 watts. And Chris had to get a special tower made with linear rails to even support the damn thing.
Yeah. Here's one for April. Is there one that gets it out of the box and works it by itself?
Practically.
Y'all gotta know April, boy.
It's funny you say that. I'm gonna put a link in here to. I'm gonna put a link up there for. I don't know if you guys have heard of it, but the Autoboss.
Yeah.
I don't know if any of you guys have seen it.
I want it. Send it my way. I need it. I need it for reasons.
It's basically an update to the Rotoboss.
Are you gonna run that? Is that running off a separate instance of Lightburn, or does it have its own individual controller?
It's got its own. It's got a GRBL, is what it uses. And it runs off of a separate instance of Lightburn. So to run it, you'd have 2 instances of Lightburn running. Here's a link to one of the videos. But yeah, you have to use a separate instance of Lightburn. It runs through USB. The whole kit that I sell comes with all that. It comes with a flash drive with all your presets and things like that. You can adjust it so it auto homes. Like as soon as you plug it in, start up the laser, the rotary will actually auto home. Like everything will move up and down, hit the switches. It'll zero itself out, and then you hit like a 40-ounce cup, and everything will move, slide, whatever to fit the 40-ounce cup or the water bottle. You throw it in there. 32-ounce cup, same thing. Click on it. So yeah, it's pretty neat. That was just kind of like a passion project. And that's why I made the Rotoboss with lead screws, because that was what I ultimately wanted to do. But it adds three more stepper motors, because you got one for each axis. A bunch of wiring, the controller, all that stuff. So it was a passion project, and it's for people that like to geek out on stuff. Basically, it's not. Yeah, Nick would be a perfect one for that. But it was meant just for people that like to tinker and play around and have something a little unique. You know, it's not to me. It's not very practical, but it's neat.
And it depends, right? Because there's a lot of things that are advancements now that we didn't probably deem very practical when it first started. But for example, with this laser, boy, do I have plans for it. First off, it's going to have its own built-in computer and touchscreen, so I can run Lightburn, and all I have to do is carry the laser. No more bringing an extra computer or monitor around, no laptops, nothing. It's just all in one. And the other thing is using that same concept.
Yeah.
You think right now it's not practical, but anyone who's used one of these machines will tell you, oh crap, I ran a cup and I forgot to change this stupid focal point, or oh crap, I ran a cup and I forgot to adjust for this or that. So having some kind of interface where I can have pre-programmed coordinates and just at the push of a button, it goes from my program for a 40-ounce Stanley to a 20-ounce Yeti. Boom. Like something like that is a game changer because it significantly increases my productivity. I can switch between different cups on the fly at the push of a button, and I don't have to worry about it. Now, if only Lightburn for Galvo would just save my damn steps per rotation, or no, I'm sorry, my damn circumference to the file. Just let me save it. Just let me not mess with it ever again. You do it for Gantry, let me do it for Galvo. Come on.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm gonna have to hit you up. Even if I have to buy it, I will buy. I need like the back end wiring of your GRBL controller and stuff because I haven't played with them before.
Sorry, I can't.
So I need to.
I can't share any information with you.
Oh.
I got to gatekeep that. No. No, that took some time. Like getting one I had to teach myself how to code to be able to code the GRBL and everything else. But yeah, that was an interesting project for sure. And I was thinking, like on your Z height there on your towers, if you put limit switches and ran those motors off of a GRBL, and that way you can say, okay, easy. I've got a 30-ounce tumbler, and it automatically goes to the right height.
That's exactly my plan
for that cup.
Exactly. You took the words
it's not
right
really
out of my
autofocus. You'd have to go in and program it like you would for a cup for the Autoboss. But once it's done, everything's programmed. One, you could sell that file, or you could share that file, or whatever. And then the only thing anybody's got to do is just maybe tweak it a little bit, because maybe their rotary sits a little bit higher or lower, or something like that. So they might have to tweak things a little bit, but they have the foundation to do something like that. So that would be pretty cool.
I even have an idea to do.
Mark, just curious, how did you come up with the name Rotoboss? Oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was just saying. I even have an idea to make a product that for people who have multiple Galvos, to just be able to plug your Z-axis motors in, and it'll control all of them individually. Where you can just do that, and I don't trust autofocus. I can't trust it. There's too many variables. So I would rather be able to do something where I can have full control over my system. I can put in my exact values, and I know that it's good, versus something that should be more or less accurate. That trips me out. No thanks. But how did you?
Mark is asking how I came up with the name Rotoboss. So funny story. Of course, my first lasers were Boss lasers. So of course those were the groups that we had. That's the groups that I was in. So kind of everything was built around fitting into a Boss laser. So my original naming for the rotaries was going to be, the Rotoboss was going to be the Hurricane. The Junior was going to be the Twister, and then I don't know what the rest of them would have ended up being. But what I did is, when I decided to make the product that I already had, or the rotary I already had, a production product, I put out a a contest, if you will. I was like, hey, I need help naming my rotaries, and I said, whoever can help name it, if I pick the name, you're going to get a free rotary out of it. So that's how Rotoboss was started. Of course, like I said, I was in a boss group, so Rotary, Boss, Rotoboss. So that's kind of how that came about, and it stuck. So, so now everything I have is a Rotoboss because that's the brand name. And then of course we have the Rotoboss, which is the namesake of the brand as well. But the brand itself is Rotoboss. So the Rotoboss Talon, Rotoboss Junior, Rotoboss, Rotoboss Ascend, Junior, Low Roller, whatever. So that's kind of how that all come together, was just asking people to help name a new product, and that's what we came up with, or that's what I settled on.
At least you didn't come, or at least you came out with something solid, because you could have ended up with what was that boat called? Bodie McBoatton? Like, I think it was a cruise line put out a survey to like everyone put your ideas in for the name of our new cruise line, and Bodie McBoatton is what won. And
it's like I was in the RC stuff during COVID because everybody was buying RC stuff. So I dealt with a lot of RC stuff. I made a lot of products for these RC vehicles, and it was kind of the same thing with the names. Is all the names that I have for all my products have a meaning. Like the Talon, I've always loved bald eagles. That's my favorite animal. So the Talon, 4 claws, Talon, kind of made sense. The Ascend, elevating to new heights. It's kind of the slogan for that. Rotoboss and Junior didn't really have anything other than what they were. The Low Roller was a low profile roller rotary. The Roto Boot, which is our boot camp model, like our basic, entry level rotary. Then you got the Roto Bolt, which was made for Thunder for their Bolt laser. So everything has a meaning. Like I like the Greek meanings. Like we had for the RC stuff, I had like Apep, Kentro, Perseus. Like I'm big on Greek names and mythology and all that stuff.
And
so that's
I'm the nerd.
so everything had a meaning. Like when I came out with the Ascend Pro, I didn't know what to name it, and I was looking. I was like, okay, 2-headed serpent or 2-headed this in Greek mythology, and I was gonna do the Cerberus, or what's the 2-headed dragon? I can't remember what the heck the name of that is. Maybe, but that's
the one where every time you chop its head off, another one grows back. 2 grow back.
Yeah.
I think it's a Hydra.
Yeah. So I mean, that's the thought process I went through when I came up with that, and I'm like, I'll just make it simple, call it the Pro, and be done with it. But same thing with the Talon. I didn't know how to make something else Talon-ish and keep the same kind of thing. So that's just call it the Pro.
Yeah.
But yeah, so everything has a meaning, and that's kind of how everything got started.
And
but here, what's up?
Oh, I was just gonna say, by Generation 5, it'll be the Talon Pro plus squared, because that's what everything is going to nowadays. You got Disney Plus, and soon you'll have Disney Plus portable, and so on and so forth. It's never ending.
Yep. Yeah, I forget what I was gonna say now. Thanks.
Oh, and just a fun fact. I don't know if anyone can see the head to this CO2 Galvo is open, despite the fact that on the back there are stickers that say warranty void if removed. Fun fact for everyone watching, you can look it up yourself. in the U.S., warranty stickers are not legally binding. They cannot void your warranty because a sticker was removed. That is not okay. So feel free, get in there, take a look, understand it, get in, and see how that thing works. Plus, you need to clean it out.
What I was gonna say is, yeah. What I was gonna say is, like, we got our air filtration coming. I actually got word today that it'll be shipping out next. My shipment will be shipping out next week. So I should have them in a couple. Well, hopefully by the end of October, I'll have them. So if anybody's interested in that, drop the link in the thing below, or in the comments below.
Let me show you, Jason, what I'm using for air filtration. When I go to these shows, I have this monstrosity, this X-Tool, whatever. The only reason I have it is because it was the only filter that I could find with an exit port, right? So that I could put an AC Infinity fan behind it for more suction, and then that gets pushed into a carbon filter from AC Infinity. Because in order for me to get, a filter box, they were like, oh yeah, it'll be, $3,000 right off the bat. And I'm like, that's a bit much, right? To start, guys.
Yeah, I think our equivalent to that's, I think, 1,800.
Yeah, and that's much more reasonable.
And with the air filter systems, also you get free shipping. I think it's until October 15th as well. You get free shipping if you pre-order.
That was the other thing.
But yeah, our closest one to that Canada. Is about 40. It's about 40 pounds. Yeah. It's about 400 CFM. It's good enough to draw off of at least 2 galvos, at least, if not more, depending on what you're doing. And like the filters on it are dirt cheap. I mean, I think a whole filter pack is like $300, and you might have to change that once a year. Compared to 1,000 or more for other ones. I think Nikki, you got a filter system, don't you? Or no?
I don't have one. All I got is the X-Tool one, like he has, and then I have the WeCreate one.
Oh, okay. I thought you had a BOFA or filter box or something for some reason. I don't know why.
Mirror 9 sits next to a window, and both of my galvos are next to the window on the other side. So I vent right out the windows.
That works. Keep it simple.
There you go.
I don't think I'd have room for.
Yeah, we have one. We have one.
Anyway.
Yeah, we came out with our top of the line one, which is a signature series. That was basically made off of my inputs for the U.S. market because they didn't have one at the time, and that one's 100% vent back into the room. And I think the average or the annual filter cost for that is about $1,500. Because I think 60 to 80% of the filters, depending on the unit you get, are washable. So really, the only thing you got to change is the charcoal. You have to change the charcoal in it, or the carbon for the filter. Yeah. And then I think there's a couple pleated filters. But yeah, I mean, on that, I mean, it's washable. You take it out, wash it, let it dry, throw it back in there. Or if you have a backup, you take one out, wash it while you're using the other one or whatever. But just our biggest thing was, one, our prices are comparable to Filterbox and BOFA for, I can't really say equivalent because they don't have the same tech in them that we have in ours. But price-wise, but the biggest thing is the replacement costs of filters and the upkeep, maintenance, and all that stuff is where we kind of shine with that. So I'm looking forward to getting that started.
Yeah.
But I've had several people buy different things because they couldn't hold off long enough to get one of mine, which kind of sucks. But it is what it is. But yeah, I'm gonna do a bunch of torture tests with it. I'm gonna light some acrylic and MDF and all kinds of stuff on fire. And then I have a particle counter and stuff like that I'm gonna run to show how well it cleans air, and we have several videos on Facebook about it. So yeah, it's pretty cool. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to when those become available, because I definitely need one. You know, when the thing is, like, there's a huge untapped market when it comes to being able to go mobile, right? To go places. You can do corporate events. You can do live engraving at shows. You can someone. I've in the past 3 weeks since I've started doing these, you know, big events. I've been invited to bridal shows. I've been invited to dog shows. I've been invited to gun shows. Like, all these people, because we're doing things that they don't see often, and it's a big attraction, right?
Yep.
We're looking at doing the pinners event in November, which that one's going to be huge. But you have to have adequate filtration, because that stuff smells. No matter what you're doing, it smells. People always ask me, why is it on fire? Well, it's burning away. It's atomizing that powder coat. It's, you know, burning that wood. It's burning. It's hot. It's fire.
Yeah.
That's what it does.
Well, that's like for LBX. LBX is requiring people to have filters.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Filter Box is offering a discount, but you got to buy it from them to take it or whatever. So we're going to be taking several units with us up there, because I know Pascal wants to use one for his booth, or at least one, maybe more, depending on what they're doing. And like I said, a lot of people don't have any filters, or maybe they don't want to buy one just yet, because I mean, you got to buy it to know what it is, kind of thing. But yeah, so we'll have a bunch of that stuff there. Of course, Rotoboss will be there as well. But yeah, that event specifically has to vent back in the room, so you cannot have anything escape. And that was, like I said, another reason why we did the signature, is because, like, I worked in a shop here at my house, and the problem I had was we had an air conditioner running, which was a portable, so that's sucking air out of the room. And then you have a laser sucking air out of the room. So you constantly have a turnover of either hot or cold, humid air constantly in, so it's hard to keep ventilation and air conditioning and things going. So that's the benefit of ours, is being able to vent back in the room. You're not losing that air outside, and it makes it easier to condition your space. So there's a lot of things that kind of play into that, but that was another reason for making that one the way it is. But yeah,
I'm definitely excited for when that one goes live and it's ready to go.
Yep. As soon as I get them, like I said, I'll be doing some torture tests with them. Or actually, I'm looking to bring new drinkware to the U.S. I got another buddy in Australia that has a drink company called PPD Hydration. And we're looking to bring that to the U.S. So he sent me a bunch of stuff to test out and sample. Because I won't put my name behind anything that I don't believe in or don't think is a good product. So I'll be doing some testing on that, durability, engraving, hot, cold, temperature, keeping ice, whatever, all that stuff. So I'll be doing a lot of stuff with that, and hopefully here, planning on next year, if everything goes well, we'll start importing that and bringing it to the U.S. But that's a pretty saturated market here these days, drinkware, especially with Temu and all them selling stuff for like $2 a piece. I mean, it's kind of hard to compete with that, but you know, this stuff is really quality. They actually got a thermal, the coating on it is a thermal coating as well. So not only do you have a double wall vacuum insulated tumbler, but you also have a thermal based coating on it. So that helps with the keeping it cool and keeping it hot, things like that. So pretty interesting to find out. We'll see. But, yeah. So, all right, we've been on here almost 2.5 hours. I know people have been jumping in and out of here. I don't know who all's
in that 2.5 hours. I did 175 cups.
Holy cow! There you go.
That's impressive.
That's not bad at all. Yeah, especially with just one laser.
Yep, just one laser.
That's crazy.
Oh man, we got to get you that Galvo. It's gonna change
So
your
you're averaging what, about 3 minutes per cup, if you
Yeah,
count
we
in the
change
taking
out,
off, putting on,
packaging,
all
everything.
that stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's not bad.
Can you send me that file just because I'm and the dimensions of whatever cup you're doing? I just want to see, like, because what laser is it? It's the Miro,
This
right?
is Miro 990 watt.
Yeah. So I want to, just for comparison, run it and see where I can get it to. The only downside, I would say, to the Galvo versus the Gantry is the Galvo, you got to play with it a little bit more to get it just right, while the Gantry is pretty straightforward. But yeah, we got to get out of here because I got kids and stuff. We all got kids. We got stuff to do.
I got one hanging out in my shop. See, look.
I've got
Hey there.
2 that are ready for a bath.
Yeah. So before we head out of here, if anybody has any last minute questions, feel free. We'll give about 5 minutes here, and then we're gonna cut this off. But if anybody has any questions, let us know. There's only 5 of us, and it's probably all of us just watching. But yeah, thanks guys for coming on. Nikki, you want to say anything about your business, your whatever you got going on there?
If you guys haven't join my Facebook group, Laser Logic. I share pretty much all of my settings for all the machines that I use frequently. And if you guys have any questions or need anything, feel free to reach out.
Awesome.
Sweet.
Nick, you got anything?
Feel free to reach out to me no matter what your issue is. I'm if I can't figure it out, I'll find someone to figure it out. I'm just saying, I'm kind of a genius or whatever. But no.
Savant.
Yeah, pretty much. I'm really special outside of it. But yeah, hit us up. Laser Logic, Tumblr.
Where can people find you?
Big Scary Laser. All of these 3 groups are great ways to get our attention. I'm on Facebook, Nick the Laser Nerd. I had to literally change my last name just so it was a little more identifiable. And feel free to reach me out with anything, y'all. I'm happy to help. For free. I don't charge anyone.
Long last name.
Yeah, it's all one word too. It's like condensed.
Yeah. All right. And you guys know who I am. You can find me through Facebook on the same channels as all these guys. Also, if you're interested in rotaries, you got rotaryattachments.com, air filtration, applairusa.com, and we got Facebook pages, YouTube pages, and all that stuff. So if you got anything for me, there's plenty of ways to reach me. If you got my rotary, my number's on it. It's an easy way to get a hold of me. But thanks again, guys, for coming out tonight. Hopefully it broke up a little bit of the monotony for you, Nikki. And Nick got to show off his new toy there. Tonight. So that's really cool. That's good. Get to shoot the shit and make some money at the same time.
Right.
Can't go wrong with that.
Now I just got to get up and make it to work at 4 o'clock.
There you go. Well, we'll be off for the next 2 days here, unfortunately. But yeah. And I'll definitely be picking your brain, Nick. Sorry, I'm looking at your guys' stuff here and the cameras right here. I definitely want to pick your brain about the dual tower thing. Because that might be my best option for doing a mobile unit, is to have it like Absolutely. That, so it's more rigid. Yeah. So I'll definitely pick your brain on that. We can get together also if you wanna check out a GRBL and stuff like that. I can help you out with that. But yeah, I guess nobody's got any questions. There's only 3 people on here, so everybody's tired of listening to us. So anyways, thanks for joining us tonight. We'll probably do this again sometime. But anybody in Florida, be safe. If you haven't got out, you get out, get the hell out. Especially if you're in the immediate area of the hurricane. If not, if anybody's watching this or sees this, we got room for you up here if you need it. So just let me know, and just stay safe out there. And for all the people up in Tennessee, North Carolina, and northern Georgia, I guess, they got affected pretty seriously by the hurricane. Best of luck to you guys. Hope everything works out, and we'll see you around somewhere. So, all right. So that's all I got. You guys got any last minute things? You good to go?
Nope. Y'all stay safe.
Yep.
I don't know if
stay
Vicky
safe.
can hear me. All right. Take care. We'll see you in the next one.